29 of the 30-day challenge. Let's get started. Let's begin by finding a seated position, cross-legged on the floor. Sit nice and tall. Imagine a string pulling from the crown of the head, extending your neck, squeezing your shoulder blades back, sitting nice and tall. Bringing your hands to heart center and setting your intention for your day or the current practice. Something you want to focus on. Could be as simple as your breath. Beautiful work. Now let's make our way to all fours, knees under our hips, hands spread, and come into our cat-cow here. Tucking our chin in towards our chest, rounding our upper back, and bringing our gaze up towards the ceiling, widening our collarbones. Go at your own pace here, tucking your chin in towards your chest and looking up towards the ceiling and widening your collarbone. A little bit of spinal mobility, loosening up the spine here. And then let's press back into a child's pose. If you have a block, you can rest your head on the block, or you can just allow your head to drop to the mat. And we're just going to roll our head right and left, massaging our forehead, our third eye. Gently swaying our head left and right. Beautiful work. Remove the block if you had it. And walk your hands towards your knees and find yourself coming into a deep squat, dropping your tailbone towards your heels. Your hands can remain on the mat for balance, or you can bring your hands to prayer and press your elbows into your knees, rotating the neck left and right, loosening your neck muscles. Lower your hands back to the mat and then crawl out into a plank. Take a moment here in plank and then bring your right knee up towards your right wrist, dropping down into a pigeon pose. Keep your chest lifted and collarbones wide, or use a block or a prop for your forearms. Sink into your forearms here if they're resting on the prop. Relax your head and neck, no matter where you are. If you're upright or melting forward onto a block or a prop, you're going to get a deep stretch in the outside of your right external rotators and piriformis. Beautiful work. If you're on the block, set the block aside. Everyone meet back up and then drop the right foot back to meet the left into plank. Take a few breaths here in plank. And then bring the left knee to the left wrist to get a nice stretch into pigeon pose on the other side. If you took the variation propping on the block on your forearms on that side, you can take it on this side. And if you don't have a block, you can use a pillow, a blanket, or a textbook, whatever you have handy. Or just put your forearms on the mat if you have that flexibility. Drop your head, neck, shoulders, let everything relax here. Breathe nice and deep in through the nose, out through the mouth, getting a nice deep stretch here. If you're resting on the block, you can now remove the block and bring your hands to the mat, meeting our friends. And then bring our left foot back to meet our right foot in plank and drop our knees to the mat. bring our left foot forward. Allow the left knee to glide over the left toes. The right hand comes to the mat. Curling the right toes underneath and pressing the right knee up into the air for a high lunge. Hands can remain on your left knee or you can raise them up overhead. Finding stability and balance here. Squeezing the inner thighs, lifting the chest, and then dropping the hands back to your knee if they aren't already there. Right hand finds the mat again, and you're going to do a twist, raising the left hand up towards the ceiling and allowing the gaze to come towards the left hand if you have the flexibility in your neck. Opening the front of the chest. Beautiful work. Both hands come back to the floor. Step the left foot back to meet the other foot in plank. Drop the knees to the ground. And then we'll bring our right foot forward to do the other side here. Allow the right knee to glide over the right toes. Left hand remains on the mat. Left toes curl under and the left knee raises up for high lunge. Hands come to your knees, or you can raise your hands overhead. Inner thighs stay active here. Find your balance, find some stillness here. And then your hands come back to your knees. Left hand finds the mat and right hand reaches overhead. Gaze towards the right fingertips if your neck allows. Getting a nice twist here, opening the front of your chest. Let that go, bringing the hand back down to the mat, dropping your right foot to meet the left foot into plank, and bending your elbows and lowering down to the floor and finding cobra, pressing gently through the hands, raising the chest and then melting back down towards the mat and raising up for upward dog, extending the elbows, keeping the pelvis remaining on the floor. And then dropping back down towards the mat and pressing back into downward dog, raising your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Now we'll begin to crisscross our legs as we walk up towards our hands, getting a stretch through our iliotibial bands. Take your time walking all the way up to the top of the mat. When you get there, bring your big toes and heels to touch. And we'll find chair pose. Body weight in the heels, sitting down like you're sitting into a chair. Bringing your hands up overhead or resting them on your knees, whichever you prefer. Take 2 breaths here. And then lower the hands to the mat. Drop one foot back and then the other. And find your knees. Let's make our way to our backs. Take your time here, nice and slow. Roll gently down to your back, one vertebrae at a time, using your core control. Bring your heels as close as you can to your butt. See if you can reach your heels with your hands to set up for bridge pose. Press down through your heels, lift your hips, squeeze your glutes, lift your hips, lift your hips. If you can interlace your hands underneath your hips, bringing your shoulders underneath your chest, do so. Continue to press your glutes together and lift your hips. If your hands are interlaced, release them. Allow your shoulders to come back out. Drop your tailbone towards the floor. Beautiful work. Now bring your soles of your feet to touch. Drop your knees down towards the mat for a reclining butterfly pose. Allow your knees to melt towards the floor, releasing your inner groin and pelvic floor. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, letting everything go. Take a few breaths here. Completely relaxing, allowing the floor to carry your weight. Beautiful work. Bring your knees in towards your chest, massaging the low back. We'll do a few circles in one direction, and then we'll take a few circles in the other direction. Allow the soles of your feet to come back to the mat and slide them out for your final resting pose, Shavasana. Hands and palms turn open towards the ceiling. Begin to close your eyes and completely melt into the floor, letting everything go. Your breath becomes deeper, your heart rate begins to slow. Your hands come to prayer at your forehead, sealing this practice. We'll see you on